like me, okay, I didn't teach in college. I taught middle school and high school. If I had an exceptional student, and I've had several, an exceptional student, all throughout, say, the first quarter, they're making straight A's, all homework turned in, they get it. So when it comes test time, yes, I may exempt that student right there from taking the test because that student, okay, I know this student knows.
Yeah.
The rest of y'all are questionable, so we need to take this test. But this student, no. So I would exempt the student from taking the test. And that right there, how come he's not taking it? It's not fair. It's not fair. Well, if you show what he showed me, you wouldn't have to take it. So if you don't want to take the next test, improve.
Yeah.
Show me that you can do what he did, so you'll be.
That's what we did in
and that right there
college.
Pushed them.
If your grades were up high enough, you weren't required to take the test.
Yeah, because sometimes their grades are high enough to where a test will not affect their grade left or right.
Or if they were
Somewhere deep in the Ozark woods lurks the two people everyone tries to avoid the most. If you're not careful, they may find you before you find them.
Good afternoon, guys. It is 3:23 p.m., January 5th. Grandma's with us in the studio.
And you start with the shenanigans already.
We are going to watch Awaken with JP. This guy is awesome. He's a comedian, but he does several different things on several different platforms, but he's also a comedian. You guys got to watch him. Got to go watch him. Anyway, it's Awaken with JP. I've scrolled up so you can see it. We're subscribed to him. So we're going to go to full screen so we can watch him. And he is talking about Genius Move. California schools eliminate failing grades. I think I told you about Lana's aunt retiring early from teaching math in Texas because she was told they couldn't give math tests. So, I mean, I don't know what school district she was in, but she said that was just it. She said, there's no way in hell you can teach math without giving tests.
That's true.
So,
because everything builds on everything.
But math is racist because it desires and requires an absolute answer, and life is not absolute.
Numbers are.
Only white men want absolutes.
Numbers are, though.
That's what they were saying up in Washington or Oregon or someplace. Wasn't that what we heard? That math was racist. So anyway, let's watch this young man.
Hi, I'm with the California school system, leading the way in education, obviously. And we're happy to announce a new initiative we're launching. We are eliminating D's and F's. By eliminating low grades, we suspect that grades, and therefore how effective we appear to be, will be going up. It's about time because eliminating D's and F's is the most beneficial thing the California schools have done for students since teaching them how to be confused about which restroom to use. Now, when a student would normally earn a D or an F, it's a problem because it accurately reflects the effectiveness that the school system has on them. So through a scientific process called denial, we're able to not know about that reflection of our effectiveness because we take away the reflective surface, the grades. And really, low grades are just a social construct. They don't really exist. Low grades should be the same as high grades. We need equal outcomes because scientifically speaking, nothing is different from anything. Everything is the same. That's scholarly inclusivity. Some of California's largest school systems are dropping D's and F's and moving towards what we call competency-based learning. This switch will bring about what we like to call incompetency. Some people think the California school systems aren't very good. That is not true, because me and the rest of people that currently run the California school systems all went through the California school systems, and we're thinking of good ideas like dropping D's and F's. So we believe that students should be assessed on the mastery of what they've learned, not how they do on a test. And in the
Test
future,
the
it would be
mastery of what they
quite
learn.
Do what?
The test the mastery of what they learn. So how are you gonna know if they mastered the subject, or the chapter, or the math problem, or the historical information? Help me understand. See, I went to East Coast school, so this West Coast school stuff is kind of confusing to me. So help me understand this.
Well, I think that they're just one possibility, or they're saying that because of all the stresses that are on the students today, that test anxiety becomes such a real factor that you have children that are quite capable of performing in the real world, but they have such high test anxiety that the tests do not reflect. They're actually.
But so that would also teach that child how to handle stress better. So once again, I'm confused.
Let's say and I'm just playing devil's advocate because and I had this happen when I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I'd already had 2 other degrees, graduated, had 2 associates. I graduated with my bachelor's, and I wanted to go on for my master's/PhD. Well, they required me to go and take their entrance exam test for the university. I failed it miserably. I mean, I literally fucking failed it miserably.
Okay.
And they called me up, and the department chair said, he says, "How did this happen?" He says, you graduated with honors, but this test shows that you're a high school dropout." I don't know. I said, I went to took. I did not from jump. I did not feel comfortable taking the test. It just didn't seem right. Something was not jiving. I just figured it was. I said, I don't know. The test questions were really bizarre. Had nothing to do with my fields of study, and I mean, it just. And he said, "Well, this isn't an accurate representation, and we, because of your scholastic history with us, we're just ignoring this." And I said, "Well,
And see now, okay, I can get that because your scholastic history, like me, okay, I didn't teach in college. I taught middle school and high school. If I had an exceptional student, and I've had several, an exceptional student all throughout, say, the first quarter, they're making straight A's, all homework turned in, they get it. So when it comes test time, yes, I may exempt that student right there from taking the test because that student, okay, I know this student knows.
Yeah.
The rest of y'all are questionable, so we need to take this test. But this student, no. So I would exempt the student from taking the test. And that right there, how come he's not taking it? It's not fair. It's not fair. Well, if you show what he showed me, you wouldn't have to take it. So if you don't want to take the next test, improve.
Yeah.
Show me that you can do what he did, so you'll be.
That's what we did in college.
And that right there pushed them.
If your grades were up high enough, you weren't required to take the test.
Yeah, because sometimes their grades are high enough to where a test will not affect their grade left or right.
Or if they were wanting that perfect 4.0, then they would take the test.
Mm-hmm.
If they just wanted to pass with a
3.88.
Yeah. They could skip the test, lose a few points, but it wasn't, they may go from an A+ to an A-, or an A+ to an A if they skip. Their grades are so good. They made perfect across the board. And I always balanced it that way. When I did my syllabus and my grading schedule, the homework and assignments were balanced with tests. because I looked at this. If a person could walk in and take my test and pass my test, then they knew everything they needed to know to pass the class. I don't care if they didn't show up a single day. You didn't have to be in my class to pass. There was no attendance. You either had to turn in all your work and do excellent on all your work. The test wouldn't matter. You pass, you get 100 on all your tests. You don't have to turn in a stinking piece of homework. But the lower this side drops, then that means the more weight is on the stuff that you did not do.
Mhm.
And then there was a tipping point where it was quite evident that you were you were slacking. And you weren't learning. You didn't do the work, and it showed on the test.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's a balancing act. But to go in and say no tests whatsoever, or no low
tests,
grades,
no tests, and then no D's and F's, they're not helping them kids at all. They're going to produce a bunch of, it's not fair people. It's not fair. I got a high school diploma. Did you have failing grades? No, we don't do D's and F's. That's why you're where you are.
And what Lana did in the respiratory program where she taught at the college, she was the director. If you failed a test, you could come in for remediation,
Mm-hmm.
and you would set one-on-one with the instructors, and they would go over everything, and then they would give you an oral test. And if you passed the oral test, or pass the points that you were studying on, you didn't have to do the written, because they understood that sometimes written tests do affect people. So you had the option. If you failed the written test, you could come in and remediate and then take an oral test. But see, they were on an accelerated 10-week program. A semester was only 10 weeks. And
I love those.
Yeah. So you got your associate's degree in like 18 months,
Mm-hmm.
12, a little over a year, but it was like going to a job every day. And then you had your clinicals and yeah, but she had it set up to where, that made it fair, because if you did not do well on written tests, because like she said, in the medical field, yes, there are written documents, but your testing of your skills is not on paper.
No, it is not.
So, they wanted actual demonstration. And then their clinicals also carried enough weight that if you did really well in clinicals, that it could outweigh a lower grade.
I know.
So, I mean, they did, but what they're wanting to do,
it's gonna hurt. It's gonna, but not just the kids, but society, because they're pumping out our next leaders, our next governors, our next congressmen, our next senators.
our next
business,
bankers.
Yeah, and business owners and stuff. This is gonna be.
You can't. They can't add and subtract. How are they going to give you change? Well, the machine tells you, and it's all by cards anymore. We're not going to have cash, because they're wanting to do away with cash because they can't tax cash transactions. So the government's wanting to get away from actually having hard currency and go everything. But you still got to be able to type in and read numbers and be able to check your work and
spell, write a complete sentence,
Yeah.
use correct punctuation,
Yeah.
Figure out a math problem, angles, triangles, yeah. And how are these kids gonna know where they're going if they don't know where they came from, as far as history and stuff and the advancements in science?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
If they don't have critical thinking skills, how are they going to be able to solve problems?
How are they gonna make it in the real world? Because the real world is not gonna coddle them.
Idiocracy is coming true.
Faster than we thought. Faster than we thought.
Breakthrough. If we could develop a way to assess the mastery of what they've learned, almost like a way of testing their mastery. California school systems are going to put our top people on it. See if we can come up with something. The assistant principal at an Oakland high school said, "Our hope is that students begin to see school as a place of learning where they can take risks and learn from mistakes instead of compliance." Beautifully said. Now put your masks back on and get your 76 shots, or you can't go to school here. One of the reasons why we want to eliminate low grades is because sometimes when a student earns a low grade, it can hurt their self-esteem. And that can interfere with our critical race theory teachings that we're using to boost students' self-esteem, where we're teaching white children that they're inherently evil because of their skin color, and teaching black children that they'll never amount to anything because of their skin color. I wish we could take this wisdom of avoiding discomfort in students' self-esteem into eliminating the discomfort of all things, like touching a hot stove. That way you wouldn't feel the discomfort teaching you what not to do, which would empower you to keep your hand on the hot stove so it could severely damage you without you knowing it. You can trust California schools that we're making an intelligent call to eliminate low grades. Because after all, we're the same schools that had an Antifa member teaching high school kids communism and recruiting them to be members of Antifa. And Antifa is basically just an after-school program teaching kids how to bring unity to the community by teaching them how to break windows and burning down buildings. Because after all, windows and walls, those are just barriers of division, aren't they? But not everyone's on board with our new policy of eliminating low grades. Some crazy teachers think that eliminating D's and F's will bring about more harm than help. One even said that not reporting D's and F's is the equivalent of lying about a student's progress. Well, you know what? Sometimes being honest is the equivalent of lying. I think eliminating D's and F's is still not a safe enough space for students. I think we even need to eventually eliminate that system and just start assigning grades to students based on what grade they most identify with. Anything less than this just creates emotional violence and is rooted in systemic racism. So in California, we're eliminating low grades. Things are going to be great. At California schools, you can trust that your children are in great hands. So much so that if you voice any concern, we'll label you as a domestic terrorist.
Well, remember we watched that thing on that progressive school system where the kids could run and play and do whatever, and then when they felt like learning, that they could come into class and learn, but they weren't. Did you remember that?
No.
Yeah, I'll have to dig that back up.
Yeah, because I don't remember it.
Yeah, the kids, it was a progressive school, and the kids will learn naturally if you just let them. You can't force it. So when they weren't even required to come to school. When their child is ready to learn, they'll learn.
Children need structure, order, discipline, love, affection, and education.
But, you know,
That's crazy.
Majority of children, you do have motivated children that will learn despite any obstacles put in front of them. The majority of children are not that way. The majority of children are just like the majority of adults. They're inherently lazy. They would rather spend their day playing video games, cruising the streets, and doing whatever that makes them feel good and having fun.
Okay, and those are the ones that really need the structure and stuff at schools, because okay, you let them run around and play and come in when they want to. I feel like learning for 15 minutes. Let me go sit in this class. What job can they get doing that crap?
YouTubers, TikTokers. I'm just saying. Am I wrong?
No. It's sad. I'm just glad we don't have any school-age children. And we have decently intelligent children.
Yeah.
So there's room to worry, but not to panic.
Yeah. We can be concerned.
But we don't have to panic because we have intelligent children.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
Anyway, we're going to let you guys go. Hope you learned something from this. Leave a like and subscribe, and then leave comments for Grandma. Leave her some love. And because now we got a new goal, Grandma wants an F650, so we got to get this channel up and going and skyrocketing. So be sure and share it with all your friends and all your even if you don't like them and they don't like you. What harm's it going to do? Maybe you'll change their mind. Maybe they'll start liking you now. Maybe you've got some family you don't want them to talk to you anymore for a while. Maybe this will do it. We're helping. We're doing the best we can to make your life as pleasant and comfortable as possible. Just follow instructions, okay? Love you guys. And remember, no matter how bad it is today, it'll be worse tomorrow.
Yes.